And here to introduce our final speaker, please welcome Devin Shah from IIT Kanpur.
Good afternoon, everybody. As we graduated from IIT Kanpur in 1989, Neeraj secured his first job at the then coveted CDOT of Sam Pitroda fame. Recognizing the influence of IAS officers at CDOT, my friend decided to become one himself. Today, he is the secretary heading the Department of Telecommunications, overseeing the department where he began his career years ago. Along the way, Neeraj earned an MBA, a PhD, held several administrative positions in various sectors of state and central government. During his central deputation, he served in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, and as a senior advisor to the executive director in the World Bank right here in DC. His impactful roles include spearheading the cash transfer program in LPG and the Give It Up campaign. Please look up those initiatives, they're very cool. My personal favorite, however, is Neeraj's talent of making finger-licking dosas. It's an honor to present a friend who excels not just in policy, but also cherishes life's finer moments. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Dr. Neeraj Mittal.
Hello, man. Hi, guys. Thank you so much, Devin. I hope everybody's, it's after lunch. I'm putting my timer there. I don't want anybody to fall asleep. So what I want to talk to you about today is that the story of part of the theme of this conference is India rising. And telecom industry in particular has been very key to really build the growth of the nation. There are kids here, you possibly, the quote from Douglas, but I want to ask, there are some youngsters here, what does this arrow mean? Why is this arrow there? Any youngster? Any youngster knows why is that arrow there? Because this guy invented the mouse. And that's why this arrow is there. So we have come a long way from when the mouse was invented, and we have forgotten who invented the mouse. And that is the pace of the change which we are witnessing. I head the Department of Telecommunications, Government of India, and it's a critical sector for the country because it is strategic in nature. It serves a lot of other departments to fulfill the mandate of government and fulfill the societal needs. It's going to be important, the presentation and what we do after the presentation, because we might answer the question which Sid asked, what after this conference? So let's wait for that. I think that will be more exciting than what we are going to do in the presentation. So India was ranked in Fragile 5 at the beginning of 10 years ago, and now it is in the first 5. It is growing at about 6 to 7%. It has seen the populism, it has seen the banking crisis, it has really performed well during the COVID. The West recognized that. We have seen 2 wars going around, in the region. Despite all these challenges, India did do some things well. It acquired knowledge, converted it into its prowess, brought improvements in the way businesses are conducted, removed a lot of challenges. And that's the reason why the recent report, it says that we will continue to grow, possibly as many other countries will find either stagnant growth or will may decline as well. The telecom sector is just a very important part of the Indian economy. It drives the GDP roughly about 9 to 10%, creates jobs, brings a lot of FDI. It's one of the fourth largest sectors which bring foreign direct investment. And therefore, we really see a lot of scope for collaboration with all the people here, the technologists who are sitting here, who can help the country in building this critical infrastructure for the new India. What did government do really that brought this sector as a critical sector for the nation? If you look at the reforms in the last 10 years, the most recent one is the production-linked incentives. So government has allocated roughly $4 billion for bringing up telecom and electronics production. So iPhone, the most recent version is made in, so you might be having it with you, possibly made in India. Many people say it is assembled in India, but that capability has started. Many states who are attracting investment, we recently saw Gujarat summit. Prior to that, there was Tamil Nadu summit. Prior to that, there was a UP summit. All states are vying for investment, and that's a good thing. States are competing, just as I think they do in the United States. The government, on its part, has repealed hundreds of laws, improved the ease of doing business. I was looking at the Tamil Nadu Investment Promotion Agency, and I remember that when Japanese investor used to come to Chennai, they had a full flow chart of how many days it will take from one decision to the other. Many times, I did not know that they had to take so many licenses, and that was the funny part of it. But we have tried to remove those flow charts from multiple pit points to a single. So if in India you are wanting to start business now, in most states you will find single window options. You just go to one place, all licenses at one place. Our government is focused on a lot of national infrastructure improvement and reducing the logistic cost. Somebody mentioned in one of the sessions it used to be 14%, it's about 8 or 9% now. Government is working to reduce that cost, because that possibly is the difference between what India and China can do. If there's an 8 to 9% cost disadvantage, we might be outdone by countries like Vietnam. The sector itself is good. So I'm just going to throw some numbers there. If somebody feels particularly interested in looking at any one of them, let's look at, cost per GB. So in India, it is roughly 12 cents per GB. What would be in United States? You are paying for it, right? So any idea? Yeah, it's upwards of $2.50 to $3, $4, $5. In India, it's only right now it's the cheapest possibly the cheapest in the world. It's the rate of reduction in the last 10 years is minus 31%. If you look at, let's take the median data speeds. Currently, they're about 50 megabits per second. In US, I think it's about 80 to 90 megabits per second. Our mobile download speed as of September or October 23 was reported by Ookla to be 90 megabits per second. So we are close to what US is in data download speeds. These numbers are all, show that India is kind of fully integrated with the telecommunication system, which means that you can look forward to masses participating in commerce, masses participating in, OTT consumptions. If you look at the subscriber base of 1.2 billion, the overall tele-density is 85%, but the rural is roughly about 50%. So 50% of the rural India is connected. And that's a big thing for the country. I don't know if any of you have heard this. This is an old term, but I thought this is very important for all of us to know. There is something called Jam Trinity, which government actually did about 10 years ago. And that laid the foundations of India rising. The first J stands for Jan Dhan. That's essentially financial inclusion. So about 500 million people were out of the banking connections. They didn't have bank accounts. So the government made sure that each one of them got a no-frills bank account open. So far, a large amount of money, $24 billion, has been deposited cumulatively in those accounts, which means that those people were doing all informal banking, paying usurious interest rates of, I don't know, close to 30, 40%, and getting into a debt trap. That has actually cleared a lot of people from that trap. The second is Aadhaar, which I am assuming many of you would have. It is again a game changer. We still have a social security number which is not biometrically linked in the US. I know that you can possibly get duplicate social security numbers, but you cannot get a duplicate Aadhaar number because they do deduplication every time you ask for one. If you look at the usage, 96 billion transactions so far, which means Aadhaar is being used very, very effectively in almost multiple ways of transacting with either government or private sector or your bank. And mobile has become an alternative financial address with near 100% coverage. Everybody has either a feature phone or a smartphone. 80% of Indians have now roughly a smartphone. And that helps in really, if you go to India, there is a famous picture where a person with a cow on one of the religious has the QR code on the face of the cow, is asking for donations. And that shows how India is really, every person down to the last step of the ladder is progressing. Okay, on the right-hand side, these three actually created the financial plumbing, because these three things put together allowed us to push money. Concepts like universal basic income, subsidy for fuels. I was instrumental in kind of putting the LPG, liquid petroleum gas, your parents, or when you were young, you might have seen those red cylinders which come to your home, and we paid for them in cash. Government used to pay 50% subsidy on that. And because the prices were half, they would end up in the hotels, for auto rickshaws, and we used to lose roughly $2 billion a year. So we connected everybody through Aadhaar. We created the financial system. The LPG subsidy program, which was possibly the only program which came in the Guinness Book of Records. Of course, in India, you do anything, it comes in Guinness Book of Records because we have such a large population, right? So that's nothing very substantive, but it did save roughly about $32 billion of subsidy so far, March last year. Now, all this infrastructure which we created really has brought in a lot of advantages, a lot of services for citizens. So Umang, for example, it's all the digital apps of government are available there. M-Seva is like our own native Google store or an iOS store. MyGov, citizens can participate in decision-making processes. DigiLocker, that's, you can store all your documents in that locker. So if you've taken Aadhaar number, your Aadhaar thing can be there. If you are vaccinated with COVID, your COVID certificate can be there. If you have to share it with somebody, you don't have to re-authenticate it. It goes directly from there to the provider. A lot of digital infrastructure came in after that. So PM Vani, it's public Wi-Fi networks where you don't have to pay, but it's connected to the public net. It's the pouchification of, or sachet model of shampoos. You don't have to buy a full bottle, but if you want 10 rupee, 1 GB, you can buy it. BharatNet program, one of the largest programs. There is a corresponding program in the US as well to connect the remote areas to broadband. But in India, we've already connected roughly 2.5 lakh Gram Panchayats with 1 gigabits per second, optical fiber connectivity. In the next 1 year, we will double this and connect roughly, on an average, all 5 lakh Gram Panchayats with 1 gigabits per second optical fiber network. Now, that's a large initiative by the government to put all the citizens connected to the digital highway. Post offices. So if you have not been to a post office, I'm assuming you have not seen a post office for a very long time. But if you go there now, it has become one of those standardized templates. You go to any, for example, McDonald's, similar color code. It is a bank. You can possibly apply for your passport. You can do your small saving. So one-stop shop for all citizens, connected through the digital mechanisms. Large-scale applications came up. So the first one is the public health insurance program. The second one, if you look at ONDC, that's the 12 million small retailers are there in India who do business, but they're not connected to the e-commerce. Only 4% of them are connected. So this ONDC, which is based on an open source beacon protocol, is attempting to connect all the retailers. Bheem, a digital payment application through which you can transfer money from phone to phone. At the back end, it's linked to your bank accounts. CoWIN, something which it was hived off or based on EWIN, electronic vaccination model, but India did almost close to 1 billion vaccinations. You could have actually booked your slot, the certificate comes to you, you can download it. All that has been possible because India built a lot of basic infrastructure on India Stack. India Stack essentially comprises of all these things I spoke about. Now, while we innovated in the government sector, government has really taken a lot of steps to innovate and make it in a lot of presentations we have seen where people have spoken about the IIT directors. We're talking about every IIT has a Section 8 company doing innovation. So I'm not going to talk too much about this, but we know we have about 108 unicorns. They're valued at about $354 billion as of today. I think we create roughly three startups almost every day. Coming to telecom, I'm assuming there'll be some telecommunications engineers here. The only reason I'm showing this slide here is because what we will do at the end of the presentation will become relevant when you look at what kind of work India is doing. We have opened, for example, I'll just take one or two. 100 5G labs have been opened across India. Why? Because we rolled out the 5G in India in 1 year. We have 100 million consumers. It's perhaps the fastest rollout in the entire world. Possibly, I think China might have done it at the same pace. But these labs are there because we have to now develop use cases and make sure that the capabilities of 5G can be leveraged for societal good. Some of these projects we are funding from the government at about $10 million. They are happening in IITs, led by IIT professors. And this is where you will have possibly a big role to play. Some national priorities, I said it's a strategically important sector. So, we have come up with Samvad, which is like a WhatsApp equivalent. There was a recent news report yesterday that the army is going to use it. We're working on quantum, key distribution, quantum communications, M2M, a lot of projects. Citizen-centric projects, so deploying AI in the curbing unsolicited commercial communication. I know US has the same problem. The FCC has taken strong steps to stop robocalls. But in India also, the issue of if I have an Aadhaar card, somebody goes and takes that Aadhaar card as a proof of identity and takes a phone connection, a mobile connection. So we scanned all the 1.3 billion POIs and figured out that roughly 55 lakh million, 5.5 million fraud connections were there. And they were all verified and disconnected. So that is the amount of, and those are the connections which give rise to illegal activity. We have developed something called the cell broadcast technology. There's only one more vendor in the world which is in the private sector. So what it does is that you can actually, in the US also, you get these alerts, right? When something, cyclone is coming, or there is some a tsunami is coming. So not the SMS, but it overrides and sends you a cell broadcast protocol-based warning alert system, which has been implemented across India now. Why? And this leads me to the other part of the presentation, which is how are we using this to improve India's diplomatic positioning in the world? So we know that COVID exposed chinks in our global supply chains. We started to realize that we cannot depend on one country. And that gave us this need for giving and also accommodating and becoming partners with advanced technologies. So all these platforms which we have kind of developed, there is a lot of demand in the global south. So G20 became one of the platforms where we were able to provide these technologies to the rest of the world. We have, this ISET has been, I think there was a special session here, so I'm not going to talk about it. But India is working very close with the United States, Japan, EU, for critical emerging technologies. One of the key features why this is happening today, because the world trusts India. And you are a key part of that. They trust India because you are there as CEOs in every board. And I think we need to give you a round of applause for that. So coming to, as I said, the next Bose and the next Raman are here in this audience. And we beckon and call upon you to, if you are interested, we would find a way that you can contribute back. We worked with Pan IIT USA. We have finalized a joint work plan where, as I said, when I listed out all the projects, we need people who can, in India, pretty much what's happening is somebody is coming and saying, okay, give me $10 million, I'm going to do a quantum project. He's possibly the only PI and the expert in that area. We need others to kind of mentor, talk, monitor. And we think that the Pan IIT USA and its alumni can help us become that resource. In telecom, for example, startups, mentoring them, that's an opportunity. As ambassadors for India as a destination for foreign direct investment, we have something called the WTSA 24 coming up in October, which is the World Telecom Standardization Assembly. It is held by ITU every 4 years. So I invite you to be a part of that. Please join us. We're also going to have the India Mobile Congress 2024 in that same period. And we hope and wish that many of you can come there as keynote speakers. So with this, I kind of end my presentation. Thank you so much for listening to me at this difficult hour of the day. Thank you.
We are very fortunate that Mr. Mittal is here, and we will get an opportunity to work with Government of India, Department of Telecommunications, to mutually benefit each other and get the telecom experts to work for the government and the public of India. Thank you.